What's up, YouTube? Eugene here, joined by my fellow perfume snob, Kristo. And he's alive, he's well, there's nothing wrong, you know.
Well, I thought you were going to say there's nothing wrong with him, and I was like, well, I wouldn't say that, but...
Yeah, we won't get too personal, but he's all good. It's just life gets in the way. He's been busy, but he's here now, and that's all that matters. We've got a bunch of things that we're going to smell, some first impressions. We are heading down to the Guerlain boutique where there's going to be a major announcement, and we hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we've known for almost a year now that the chances are the Toronto Guerlain boutique will be shutting down permanently, so they're just going to announce the kind of yay or nay today, and we'll let you guys know what we know.
You'll probably know by the time this video is up anyways.
We'll probably live stream on the way down.
And probably on the way back at least a bit. Yeah.
I know they get a kick out of the road trip live streams, and we enjoy doing it.
It usually gets pretty unfiltered and...
Yeah, those are the best ones. What else? Kind of unfortunate, though, because I know, like we were talking, we kind of grew up there and you know...
The first time we ever met, like, because we were texting on and off for a while, and then, like, the first time we hung out, we went around, and it was like, you got to go to the Guerlain boutique.
Yeah.
So that was kind of it. Like, we would literally just spend the afternoon and go to the Guerlain boutique and sit there for, like, 2 hours.
Hours and hours and hours, and just smelling the Hima and Bois de Jour, and
just sitting there and drinking coffee and espresso and...
Like, wow, smell that, you know? It's like... So it's really unfortunate, you know, but...
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Life does go on. So we've got a bunch of things here. I don't even know where to start.
Let's start. So I've only got a couple things for you to try. Now, no offense, but I think yours are a little more accessible. So let's do yours first, because one of mine's pretty obscure, and one of them's an indie scent. So you've got some mainstream stuff here. Let's start with this one, Eric.
All right.
Now, this is one I've only heard the name. I've not actually seen it in person, and I've only sniffed it out of the atomizer.
That's Beau de Jour. So this actually used to be a private blend before.
Really? What was it?
Beau de Jour. So just like ombre leather, you remember ombre leather used to be in the private blend, and then they put it in a black bottle like this. They've done the same thing with Beau de Jour.
I didn't know. I'd never even heard of Beau. And so it was the same name.
Same name. I imagine it's the same perfume. I've never smelt the private blend perfume.
What color bottle was it? Do you remember? Was it a
private blend? Yeah, regular brown, black, whatever it is.
Yeah, man. Okay, I even said the sniffing it out of the atomizer. I like this. Yeah. I like this a lot.
I said the exact same thing. I like it a lot.
Wow, that's really good. What's retail on this?
I don't know, $230-ish.
I like that.
And you get anything specific? I get a lot of aromatic spices from this.
So I knew in advance that there was citrus. I could, like, straight out of the spigot, I could smell the citrus. And then now, I get a little bit of spice, but I definitely get that more fougere.
Yeah, the barbershop shaving foam.
Yeah, it's kind of like an allspice or something. I can't really say it's cardamom or cinnamon or something.
To me, it's predominant, because I'm more familiar with it. I've worn it a few times. It's predominantly rosemary. Wow. And it's almost pungent, animalic rosemary.
Yeah. I like this. I like this a lot, in fact.
That's exactly.
I'm really surprised.
That was my reaction as well.
Wow, that's good. How long has this been out in that form?
Just 2 months now.
Wow.
I like 2 months. All right, you like that.
I'm very impressed. That's something that could be on my radar for summer.
Have you smelt this yet?
Again, just kind of out of the sprayer while you were getting ready.
So you're familiar with, you know what this is.
I bought a bottle of that in probably about 2009.
Do you want to re-smell it or which one?
I almost don't want to, because I miss it, but I do need to compare. And, okay, so again, while you were getting ready, I sniffed this out of the sprayer as well. Oh, God. Okay, if I had never smelled Dior Homme, and you handed me this card when we were at Sephora, I might be like, oh, it's okay, what is it?
Yeah.
But if you know, once you said it's by Dior, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's an awful
No.
mainstream release.
It's
but
not.
It is utterly one of the most boring perfumes I've ever smelled.
There's a real petrochemical thing in here that I find kind of interesting, but it's very synthetic. You can smell there's, ambroxan, you know, the iris note is just gone or just so synthesized it doesn't even register. Like, I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I wouldn't buy it at retail.
Yeah, it's very different. This is warm and ambery, and this is very, like, the pitch has changed where this is it's got a very low pitch. It's darker and ambery. This is very high pitched, you know, very fresh.
Beautiful. I love this. I think Daver, was it Daver? He was the first one that I ever heard say that he liked Dior Homme over Dior Homme Intense. And he kind of made me rethink things. And I went back and I was like, you know what? I agree.
Yeah.
It's got more depth.
This is my favorite version, is the one in your hand.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. I don't even think they're really comparable.
To be honest, the black stem is my favorite.
The original?
I prefer the black. This is the original silver
the black stem came out.
But I prefer the 2011 black stem.
I don't know if I've ever tried the black stem. You know, this isn't bad, but they're not even the same perfume. I don't know if they're meant to, is this like a new release or is this just
to replace Dior Homme? Because now this has been renamed or rebranded Dior Homme Original.
Oh.
And going to be made exclusive only to Paris, I believe.
I've not heard that. Okay, at least it'll still be in production, but yeah, I don't really care much for the new Dior Homme.
All right, so we've got... Have you smelt this?
I have not. I didn't even take the cap off because I wanted to save it for complete, true and utter first impression.
We've got both of these. Which one do you want to smell first?
Let's go in order. Let's go office.
What are you expecting?
I've heard so much about it. I'm expecting something fresh, clean, citrusy, ambroxan. I'm kind of expecting maybe Sauvage meets
Dylan Blue. Aventus.
Yeah, or
Profumo.
Invictus.
It's all of those and none of those.
Okay, interesting how you say that. Oh, wow. Yeah, I can already smell it.
First, what would you compare it to? What does it remind you of?
First, straight out of the gate, I gotta say, because I'm the most familiar with it, Sauvage.
Okay. I get more of a Ventus clone. Not even a Ventus,
really?
but an Aventus-y clone.
I can see that, but then I guess a lot of people called Sauvage kind of an Aventus clone, just with certain areas modified, amplified, you know what I mean? Like it had sweet, fresh, fruity, both, are sweet, fresh, fruity. The only thing, and I've always maintained this no matter what Aventus batch, year, formula, whatever, I've always maintained I get a real ashy green feeling out of Aventus. And I don't get ashiness, maybe slight greenness out of this one. It's
a lot of bergamot and incense I get from there.
It's really not bad. It's not terrible. And I know it's...
My complaint is it lacks depth.
Like there's no change, it's just that
it's just
straight
very
through.
Flat.
Okay, if Sauvage, Invictus, blah, 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 if those did not exist and had not tarnished my view of kind of like fresh, masculine, fruity fragrances, I might actually say I like this.
Wow.
But
there you go.
Sauvage, when we reviewed Sauvage, we were the first ones to just absolutely rip it to shreds. And we did it, I think it was a little exaggerated, but I think it was also very genuine. Because neither of us liked it.
Right.
You have 3 bottles of it, but neither of us liked it. And we were quite honest. And I still maintain that it is just the lowest common denominator of designer fragrances because it's made by such a reputable house. if I smelled this when I was first getting into perfume in 2009, I probably would have liked it.
Yeah.
But
So
now,
good for the commoner.
Good for the commoner. Again, if I could have got this in Indonesia 2009 when I was first starting out for $60, $50 at a discounter, I probably would have liked it. But now, yeah, it's
not very interesting.
It's not interesting. It's been done.
It's
been done 1,000 times, and this was the 1,000th time that it's been done.
And at the price point that it is, which I don't know,
was just like all over the place. Yeah, it's ranging between free and like $300.
All right, let's go.
Okay, this I know very little about. I know it exists. I think they're supposed to be vetiver in here.
I've yet to wear any of these, so
it's meant to be vetiver in this, right?
This, I don't know. I think it's oud. It's sweet oud. This, to me, I find more interesting.
Really?
Yeah, and deeper.
Okay. Again, if Office had been done 1,000 times before, I kind of get it.
Like this one, Office reminds me of several other things. I don't think this one I can't put another fragrance to mind.
I think because it's just a very... I think maybe it's hard to compare because it's just very bland. Just kind of like...
It's just mostly fruity.
It's just sweet and fruity, and that's it.
Like I don't pick up oud or any depth or...
Like I don't think I could pull a single specific note out of this. I could say there's fruit in it. There's some gourmandish notes to it. But I really...
See, I get that with a lot of these designers that I have a hard time picking out notes. Like even with this new Dior 2020, it's like whatever they list, I don't get any of that.
Okay, I think I could pick more notes out of Office. Date, I'm just going to say there's Tonka in this because Tonka is like that annoying bro, sickeningly sweet kind of, gourmandish note that again has been done to death. So I think Tonka is really the only thing I could pull out of this, but just because it has that screeching, strong, shiny sweetness to it. Whereas Office, like I can barely even smell it anymore. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think I prefer Office. I'm going to be honest. I prefer Office over Date, but I wouldn't pay, or I don't think I'd even wear this if having what I have now, knowing what I have now. I kind of like the bottles, I have to say. I like the simplicity of them. But yeah, I don't.
All right, let's move on. Both very relevant. Spice blend. Have you smelt this?
No. Again, I think I kind of had a sniff of the sprayer when you were in the shower. But oh, that's interesting. Because this is the one when you came out and I was kind of hovering over your perfume. You're like, did you try Spice Blend? And I was like, not really. So there's obviously tons of spice in here. I get citrus.
Yeah.
Maybe more bergamot than lemon. What's base in this?
I think it's ginger, and then your allspices, pepper, nutmeg, cinnamon.
I can see that. Ginger blends well with spice.
So it's got this contrast of freshness. Ginger adds some freshness. But I get a lot of amber in here. And after wearing it, some patchouli. And I find it almost like a younger sibling to either Mitza or Ombre Nuit.
I was going to say Ombre Nuit, because you've really liked Ombre Nuit, and you've kind of pushed me to try it a few times, and I was never overly grabbed by it, and I can see a similarity to them. Almost, and that this is drinkable, which I found Ombre Nui to be the same thing. Like it, not like it smelled like, you know,
Like a chai
like
latte
tea.
or
No,
something?
it wasn't like that, but it just smelled like.
So it's getting
Yeah.
devastated in the reviews. It's getting really bad reviews. But for what it is, I like it. I also find it a little bit bro-y. Like it's not an intellectual perfume.
No.
It doesn't make me, you know, it doesn't distract me. But
I could see someone buying a bottle of this as like their first thing other than Sauvage or Invictus, and then thinking that they're, you know, sophisticated and whatnot, because it's palatable.
I do enjoy it. I love spices, and this is very woody.
I like it. I don't think I'd pay Dior prices for it, but I like it. If this was like, you know, what I could get the new Dior Homme in, the same price, same size, I'd grab it. Okay. I like it for that.
Right.
I like it. It's a spice that you could probably wear pretty easily when it's not
it doesn't
40
have to be
degrees. Like
cold,
I think you could pull that off in a decent summer day kind of thing.
All right, what's next? You have...
So I got a couple for you. So I'm going to spray this one first. I got this in a swap recently. This is Russian tea from Masque, or Masque Milano, I believe is the full name. I think the bottle's stunning. These are 35 ml, which is kind of interesting. And they are extracts. The ring came off of that. So I'm just going to give you a spray. I've tried this. I've worn it once, and I've sprayed it maybe once or twice on top of that. So I'm not going to say what I think or what I get from it. I want to hear what you think.
So right off the bat, it's very light, as tea-based fragrances can be. So, and they're very deceptive until you put them on skin.
So that's the thing. Yeah, it's tea and leather, which, you know, leather can tend to be very loud, strong, and tea typically is, you know, light.
Very light. But it can get intense once on skin. So
the leather in this is very soft as well, and it's almost more of a suede leather than clear leather.
I pick up something balmy in here, and that's got to be the leather, but the tea's very light.
Yeah.
And I get more smoke than actual tea.
So I wore this to work soon after I got it. I got it in a swap. And I wore it to work, and I only put on like a spray, maybe two, because it is a parfum or an extrait. Like it's very concentrated, thinking that I'm going to end up, you know, blowing everyone out in the, you know, that comes around me at work. And it ended up sitting very close to skin.
Okay.
Let me have another sniff. I've not
most tea-based fragrances do, I think, though.
So there's definitely a mintiness to this. I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed with it. I need to wear it again. Maybe I'll wear it when it's a little bit warmer out, because it was like really cold. It was probably around Christmas time. And I was kind of disappointed. I didn't find the craftsmanship to be there for what the retail price is on it. It is on retail, I think, is about 300 Canadian, but you can get it discounted for about half that, maybe a little more than half. But I didn't find it to be as good as I know I'll mention the name later, but there was someone who called this like the greatest tea-based fragrance ever made.
Really?
Yeah. When I say later, you'll go, yeah, that explains it. But
there's not, like, on card right now, there's not a whole lot to this.
To be honest, it doesn't do much more on skin. I found it didn't develop much. It just kind of hovered around me. I didn't find it changing dramatically. The leather comes out a little bit more, and the leather's nice and soft, but I was pretty disappointed by it.
I can't say I get a whole lot just from the card.
It doesn't do much more than that. I think the leather will come out a little bit more. Like, I can already smell more leather than when we first sprayed it on, but yeah. I was disappointed. I'm going to wait and wear it maybe in the springtime, although it's pretty springish today, but yeah.
What's next?
Okay, so the next one, I'm not going to show you. This is from a decant, and I think I actually got this from the same lady that I got this in a swap from. So I done a few swaps with her on Fragrant because she's actually not far from here. I think she's just a little north of Toronto. We're a little south of Toronto. And I added an extra. She's really friendly. She added an extra. So we swapped again, and I added in even more extras, and she added in even more extras. So just gonna show them. You're not gonna see the label because it is a decant. Oh, it's really bright. I don't know if we're gonna. Yeah. Okay.
So you want me to guess what this is?
I don't, honestly, unless you've smelled it, which, to be honest, not to sound smug, you probably haven't, or if you have, you've had like a little sample because it's insanely rare, and it's from a very well-known house. This has been discontinued for, I'd say a decade or more. And okay, so there's a reputable designer house that does...
I'm getting floral.
Okay, I'm going to have to look up the notes. I know there's a couple notes that I can remember. I don't remember there being incense. So I had a sample of this. So someone sent me a sample that, I was friends with in the US. And
There's green notes in here.
They had a flacon of it. And they loved it. And they sent me a flacon of that. What did you say?
Floral and green notes.
Floral and green? There's some florals. I think there's a couple things more that are more in the
I'm going to put a little bit more on.
Yeah. Okay.
It's dry. And a little bit salty.
So he sent me two samples. There was this one and another, and I'll mention after just in case you know them because I want to get you to keep guessing. And he sent me like a little vial of each, or a pretty good vial of each. And when they wore out, I have not smelled this since then. And the other one I have not smelled since I finished his sample. These, I don't know. I don't think they've been re-released because the house that discontinued, or the house that made this,
I'm not familiar with this.
So they're by Tom Ford.
Okay.
Or it's by Tom Ford.
Wow, this doesn't seem like a Tom Ford.
Yes.
It seems way too subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have that outrageous openings that Tom Ford is known for.
Okay, so there is this and Moss Bresh. So he sent me a decant of this and a decant of Moss Bresh. To be fair, I did prefer Moss Bresh to this, but I did like this also.
Okay.
So he sent me these in about 2010, and they were already like insanely rare then. So now,
so you've had this for 10 years?
No. The lady sent me this that I swapped the Russian tea with. So I'd not smelled this since probably about 2011. And I wore it today, and it's the first time I've smelled it again since 2010 or so. And I wore it, and once it was on my skin, and I've been really critical of Tom Ford recently, although I did like that one from earlier, but after, like, I was like, holy shit, it's exactly how I remembered it. But after about half an hour, I could just smell it, just the poor craftsmanship. I could
really?
Yeah, it's kind of like when I wore Noir de Noir.
Yeah.
Hadn't worn Noir de Noir in about 5 years. And then I wore it maybe last winter, and I was like, wow, this is really messy.
Wow.
I found it to be
I
really
like Noir de Noir.
I do, but I just was able to find that after that really nice opening, the dry down got really messy.
Okay, so I have no idea what this is.
This is Japan Noir, which, unless you are very familiar with Tom Ford, you probably never
I get mostly green and floral, maybe some incense.
It's leather, vetiver, and what was the other note? So I always got a lot of vetiver out of it, patchouli, and amber.
No, I don't get any of those.
Really?
No.
Yeah, no.
Patchouli and amber. I don't get any amber.
Really?
Maybe in the
I got vetiver out of it, but
on the card it's not coming through.
Either way, it was a really nostalgic, cool thing to try again. But yeah, it's just.
And I've never smelled Japan Noir. It's been discontinued for a while now.
Oh, I'd say well over a decade it's been discontinued. So Moss Bresh, Japan Noir, and Purple Patchouli were like the 3 Tom Ford fragrances that got cut soon after they were released that everybody was kind of in hysteria about.
Yeah, Shanghai
Amber
Lily.
Absolute that was a couple years later. Like Amber Absolute got discontinued.
Yeah.
Soon after that, and that was like what everybody was just like, Tom Ford Private Blend, they're getting rid of all their good stuff and they're starting to make, those, Amalfi and all that junk kind of thing. And that's kind of what happened. But it was cool to smell this again. I've got a good chunk of that, but I don't know. It's definitely not as good as I remember. I'd love to try Masque Brush again, but which I did like more. But yeah, I was really let down by Japan Noir. Nostalgic, but yeah, I kind of see how.
All right. Awesome.
Kind of a ending on a low note for both of them, in my opinion. A lot of other.
That's all right. You don't have to love everything.
I like this a lot, but other than that, I think I did like Spice Blend. Wasn't blown away by it, but the rest was a lot of mediocrity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even the Russian tea and the Japan Noir.
I'd like to try Russian tea on skin and see how it plays out. I was always curious about that. I do like tea scents, but
it came up for swap, and I was like, you know what, let's do it.
I wish Chanel would do a tea scent.
I know
Elena's done a couple of tea scents with Bulgari.
Mm-hmm.
Hermes he's done one with Hermes actually. Osmanthus Yunnan.
Yeah. Osmanthus is very similar to
Guerlain's got out Neroli out Renoir, which is a good tea scent.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think Herba Fresca is a tea scent.
I think there's some tea in there. It's mint and green notes, maybe a bit of tea, but yeah. All right,
guys. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of any of these releases, and we'll see you sooner in a live stream than you'll see this video. But thanks for watching.